Today's January 20th. Today's the day where Wave 2 orders were beginning for the Ford F-150 Lightning. Today, a lot of people got to go in and make the order for their truck, but a lot of them also weren't able to get the trim level that they wanted. In fact, they found out that the Pro, the most affordable version of the Ford Lightning, is already sold out, and they're not happy about it. In fact, a lot of them are very upset. And then on the other hand, a lot of people actually saw this coming. And it's a very kind of split thing, and I think the best way to show both sides and kind of dig into this is with a quick story. So let's go all the way back to, well, the Cybertruck. So in my opinion, it all started with Tesla's announcement of the Cybertruck, this futuristic, cool-looking, well, cool to most people, version of a truck made by Tesla that starts at only $49,000. Needless to say, people were excited. And they did this thing that was not new to Tesla, but it definitely became a hit around the EV world. It was to take a $100 donation to claim your spot in line for the vehicle. And it was a pretty big success. Now fast forward a bit, and Ford takes the stage. And they're about to announce the amazing new EV truck. They roll out on stage a glorious, futuristic-looking F-150 that maintains its rugged, good looks like the old versions had, while showing some cool new techie vibes. Folks are excited, and they certainly expected this thing to cost probably half their mortgage. But to everyone's surprise,
and this F-150 Lightning starts at just under $40,000. And that's before you get your federal or state tax credits.
And not only that, but it will be one of the first EV trucks to actually be able to purchase. It's going to hit the streets in 2022. Now, for reference, that was about 8 or 9 months ago. And now when you compare it to the Cybertruck, that's still essentially vaporware. People put their $100 deposits in for something that, frankly, they may never see. It just keeps getting pushed back and pushed back. So needless to say, people were very excited for the Lightning. Ford raked in 20,000 reservations in the first day, and then 48,000 within the first 48 hours. Spoiler, this number ends up quadrupling by the end of this. Now, what happens between announcement day and the time I'm making this video was just a roller coaster of chaos. So one of the most important things that happened was actually an email that Ford sent out to early reservation holders. This email included various trims, features, but most importantly, prices that they expected to charge for the upcoming Lightning. This showcased that there was 3 trim levels that were all under $60,000, making it an absolutely fantastic deal. And needless to say, this made even more reservations go into Ford's books. People were happy to lay down $100 for an EV under $60K that can do all of this stuff that's just incredible. Who wouldn't want one? I mean, I was one of those people. And let's just say it was very clear that Ford had an absolute hit on their hands. So much so that Jim Farley, Ford's CEO, went to the presses twice to announce that they were raising, in fact, doubling production of the Ford F-150 Lightning. Twice he did this. It went from 80K to now it's 160K. And these announcements led to, yeah, you guessed it, even more reservations. Well, if this not only is a good deal, it's going to be available. I keep seeing that they're raising the production numbers. So yeah, even more people put in their $100. Why not, right? It's fully refundable, because it definitely seems like Ford might be able to meet this crazy high demand. Now it's important to stop down and talk about this section just for a quick little bit, because while they made these announcements, everyone kind of overlooked an original announcement that's actually really important. And it was the fact that in 2022, the launch year of the Lightning, they only planned on making between 15 and 20,000. And with all the announcement of them doubling the production numbers, I guess people either assumed that these smaller batches were going to be doubled as well of this first year or something, but everyone just kind of overlooked it and still proceeded forward, assuming that, hey, it sounds like everything's fine. I'm going to get my Lightning. They keep raising the production levels. I'm going to keep my $100 deposit, and I'm going to get very excited and put all my hopes into this. Of course, not everyone did that, but a lot of people did. So the problem was, unless you're a total EV nerd like me, and well, probably most of you who watch my channel, you didn't get that first announcement where they said they were only doing 15K. You just got the major headlines in the major publications that, hey, Ford's doing great, the Lightning's a hit, and they're raising the production numbers. So that all leads to an announcement that 160,000 people tossed their hat in the ring, well, their $100 in the ring, to say, yeah, I want a Ford F-150 Lightning. This thing is going to be perfect. So now the in-between time, and there is a lot of questions, right? Well, when can I make my order? Are these production numbers true? Am I going to get this? Well, I want to learn all about the truck. So this and questions about every single trim level. Is this feature on this trim? Is this feature on this trim? You know, people didn't know, but they were expecting to get their truck in, less than a year. So they need to plan all this stuff out. They needed to arrange to sell their other car. They had all these questions. So if Ford wasn't answering these yet, of course they did eventually, but where were they to look? And it was to the dealers. And speaking from experience, sure, there's some great dealers out there, but it was like talking to a brick wall. They knew less than I did about the vehicle. Hence, people going to the internet, typing in Ford Lightning spec sheet. I need help with the Ford Lightning, blah, blah, blah. And they end up watching videos of crazy losers in their basement talking about the Ford Lightning, pretending they know it all. Oh, wait, that's me. Yeah, sorry. So, okay, all that aside, Ford eventually does some great live streams. They do some events. People get to learn about the vehicle, and they're just that much more excited about it and probably get even more reservations. This is where we hear that there's actually 200,000 reservations, and Ford says, you know what, we got to cut this off because 200,000 is too much. We just can't do that. Everything below that's fine, but 200,000, yeah, that's just too much. So that's what they say. We're going to cut it off here. So now it's January, and it's the moment that a lot of people were really excited for, and it was to learn what the ordering process actually looks like. And it actually sounds okay. They're going to do a wave system of ordering, and they're going to prioritize the people who made their reservation first. And those people would go in, and they would make their orders, and they'd just go through the line until the inventory's off. And that seems fair, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, enter the dealers again. So due to a feature in the system, Ford was able to let dealers arrange certain customers ahead of other customers. And this led to dealer markups, among other things. Some were just marking it up before that, but not only were they letting people cut the line if they paid between $5,000 and $30,000 extra dollars, they were also making the people who were already in line and they made this reservation first pay the dealer markups too, just to keep their place in line. And it was just a mess. So this is the point where we actually have to give it up to Ford. They did catch wind of this, and they made an announcement to the dealers and said, hey, we won't let this stand. You're making Ford look bad. Well, they're right. It did make them look bad. And the message was actually heard loud and clear. We're hearing reports all the time now that dealers are no longer doing markups, at least not crazy ones. Heck, even my own dealer, who was going to do a $5,000 upcharge, is no longer doing any charges at all. So I'm grateful for this message from Ford. It really did work. And it worked because they threatened to cut their allotment off. So if they got wind that they're doing shady stuff at the dealer, Ford was going to say, no Lightnings for you. Okay, so at this point, I think you're mostly caught up if you haven't been along on the ride this whole time. So let's get into why I think people are so mad. But I guess to get into that, we need to learn one more thing. It happened when the order banks opened up, and they finally opened up and pricing was officially released. And remember where we first thought there was going to be like 3 decently stacked trims that were going to be under $60K? Well, it turns out that, well, they kept the Pro at 40K, which was really nice. They kept the base XLT, which is the second highest trim, at 52,000. That's fine. But everything from then on up was like 65,000 or higher. And if you wanted the extended battery at the XLT, you're going to need to pay $20,000 extra. So this was like the first rumble of people like thinking maybe I won't go through with this. And it led to people either saying, you know what? I'm just going to go all in. This is going to be my new vehicle. I'm going to buy the highest trim or a higher trim than they were planning and just like indulge and have a great vehicle. That, or they were going to say, you know what? I think the Pro has just enough. It's a great deal. I'm going to get that one. So I think I'm still wavering of what one I was going to do. So I think a lot of people were in that like seat of like, you know, it's okay that they raised the prices on these mid grades. So I'll just choose one or the other. So honestly, it was okay. Some people just downgraded and they were fine. However, as we found out this morning, nobody could buy the downgraded version. It was actually sold out. And here's where we can guess all day what's going on. Frankly, they just set an amount before they started and it hit it. There's not much we can do. Like, I can see it from both sides. It's like a lot of people are arguing maybe it's like they keep using bait and switch, which I kind of agreed with, at least for a little bit, because in a way they entice you with this $40,000. They take your $100. You wait, you get so excited, you get invested in the vehicle, and then you get there and you try to buy it and it's not allowed because even day one people I hear on message boards still haven't got in to make their orders. So people who ordered on day one, if they went to buy the Pro right now, they just couldn't. So then they say, okay, it's fine. I'll just, you know what? I'll fork it up and I'll go to that next level. There is an element of like a bait and switch. I don't want to use that word. It sounds like trashy to say, but it really is kind of, I get why people are upset is all I'm saying there. And just to reiterate again, this is wave 2 right now, and wave 1, some dealers didn't even get an allotment. They might have only gotten one, and I didn't hear anyone of getting more than one vehicle. So wave 2, it's still really high on the list. So the fact that they sold out already is a little bit of a shock to me. It means that they must have only made like 500 to 1,000 at the most of the trim level. This especially is odd because the night before opening Wave 2, Jim Farley, the CEO, tweeted that the most popular trims were the Lariat and the Platinum, which are the two highest trims, meaning you'd think that the Pro was still available because, well, it wasn't one of the most popular trims. So that was another reason why I think a lot of people were probably shocked when they went to make their order this morning to find that it was already sold out. So while there's some people that are definitely upset, there's a lot of people who said, well, I saw this coming from day one. They never were going to sell that lower trim level, which I didn't want to believe, but at the same time, you know, I have a theory. So part of me wonders that Ford probably really regretted trying to match the Cybertruck in pricing because, again, Ford thought they were going to be selling these neck and neck against to the Cybertruck, and frankly, they have no competition now. So they went all in saying they would compete with the Cybertruck, matching that price. Of course, that's why they chose that price. And it turned out they didn't have to do it. So they're kicking themselves like, well, why did we say it was so affordable when we actually have no competition right now? Causing them to probably pivot and say, well, shoot, well, let's only make like 500 of them then. Because it's like they almost made just enough to satisfy the early promises that it would exist, and that they probably will never sell it at that price again, if you had to ask me. So all of that is actually okay to me because it does make sense. My biggest gripe with all this, because again, I want to make it clear, like, I'm not like mad at Ford or anything. It's just what happened, you know, I'm just trying to document what happened here. However, there's one thing that could have made this all just like really smooth, and it's transparency. Like, it really is just kind of crazy to me that they just didn't set these expectations from the beginning, saying, hey, we're doing a limited run, or really emphasize that, yeah, we've doubled production, But this first year is really limited and we're keeping it to a core group of people. Like, I think people would have understood. It definitely seemed like there was so much more focus on the hype of being able to share how many reservations they have and that people aren't turning them in, and that, you know, they really were more excited about the PR aspects than customers' expectations. I think they knew if they said that they were making a limited amount, that they would probably lose a lot of reservation holders and they'd pull out and go elsewhere, or, you know, they would have went with Rivian or a Tesla. But instead, they flooded the press with how they're doubling production because they have so many reservations, instead of, you know, kind of setting the expectations for the people who had the reservations. So they doubled and they doubled, but they never doubled the 2022 year, or at least they never mentioned that they did. So yeah, there's always a chance that they'll start, you know, really producing towards the end of 2022 and satisfy some of these orders. In fact, I kind of am thinking that might happen. Now, again, if I had to guess, I have a feeling once they, you know, get to these production issues out of the way, I think next year you're going to see these prices even out a little bit. It's not going to be a huge gap from like the 20K extra to get the extended battery. And I also expect that they're probably going to go a little bit higher with the Pro, the base level, and it probably won't start at 40,000 anymore. And they'll probably actually have the volume to, you know, sell them. So I do see this as just like a learning jitter sort of thing. Frankly, I just don't think they were ready to do more than the 15K they originally said for this first year, which is totally fine. Again, I just wish that it was translated a little better. And especially to the dealers, those are the only people we have to contact. They don't know what's going on still, and it would be great if they were able to just, you know, set our expectations. And it's mostly because, again, a car is a big purchase. You got to sell your original car. You have to, if you're in a lease, you need to know exactly when you can get into your new vehicle, because that stuff's hard to manage. So I do think communication is really key here. But what it comes down to is you guys. I want to know how you guys feel. I've told you how I feel. I kind of documented it all here a little bit. You know, let me know. I'm really curious. Is this not a big deal and you're okay? Or were you set on that and you think that this was just an unfair rollout? Because I do see it both ways. However, you know, the good news is if you're patient and you can wait until next year, I really think a lot of these kinks are going to be ironed out and things will move slowly. It's a big step taking this step into the EV world, especially with such a hit like the Ford Lightning ended up being. So with all that in mind, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit different than what I usually do. I was reading from a script. I usually don't write these that much. So, you know, maybe it sucked. And if that's the case, I'll go back to just rambling. So let me know if you guys liked this better or worse. Anyways, again, I really appreciate you guys so much for watching these videos. You know, I really enjoy making them for you. So yeah, that's all I got. Hopefully you guys are still on the line and, you know, maybe we'll get your Lightning reservation soon. And if you are, I want to know, well, especially if you were getting a Pro, what are you going to get now? Or if you're just going to wait? I'm really curious to what you guys have to say. So yeah, let me know. And that's all I got. Again, like, super appreciate you guys watching, and that's all. I'll see you guys.